Hey Jeff, how you doing, man?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Hey, doing great. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. How's
Am
everything
I
going, my
good?
Gotcha.
friend? Yeah, you're great. How's it going, man?
Life's good. I can't complain. All's good in the hood, man.
I think so. I think that this is gonna be a great summer. I think we're all looking forward to some better times, man. What do you got going on this summer? I know we're gonna get into, of course, the football camp you have coming up, but what else? You got any trips planned? Anything going on?
Wouldn't say I have a whole lot of exciting things going on. I have to get a Pop Warner team prepared, working on that. So I'm coaching a 10U, my boy's 10U program. So I'm gonna have to get that all situated and figured out by August 2nd when we start putting the pads on and getting after it. And
Wow.
hey, I just a lot of kid stuff. So actually taking the kids up to Northern California when I put on the camp for those 2 days. It's in my hometown. I don't live there currently. I live in Southern California, San Diego area.
Hmm.
So I'll take my kids up there for about 5 days to spend time with their grandparents and cousins and aunts and all that stuff. So
Awesome. That
that'll be
that's
a good trip. It'll
it's
be a good trip for
it's
us.
great to see stuff like this coming back because yeah, here we're in Missouri where we did have, high school football, but you didn't have the camps, you didn't have things like this for kids to be able to get out there. And I think this is so important. So it's July 8th and 9th in your hometown of Gilroy, California. Just kind of talk about the camp, what kind of emphasis there is, and just maybe where people can go if they want to get someone involved, if they're in the area.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. I just feel like reconnecting with my hometown, getting back involved in the community there. It's not like I've ever totally separated myself, but I think there are things that I can do that would benefit the community. It's a small community, it's a place where they really take pride in their local heroes and their local people that have gone on and done well. And I'm one of those guys. And for me to be able to bring that back to the kids and be able to put some camps on, and we're going to separate into 4 separate camps with the really young ones on the first day. We'll have 2 sessions. And then the second day will be more like junior high and high school age kids. And, we'll get the local high schools involved, the head coaches, and some of the players involved in helping to coach and being around the kids and inspiring them. But really what it comes down to is really teaching the game, the fundamentals of the game, having fun with it, of course, but understanding that there's hard work, there's dedication, there's leadership, there's teamwork, there's all kinds of facets that they could take into their everyday lives. And if they can apply those things, they're going to have a better opportunity in life. And that's what football has taught me, has really brought on to me as far as how I've lived my life and been able to experience what I've experienced throughout, and how I have applied it into my life after football. So being able to share that with these young ones, being able to share with them the fact that, hey, I was born and raised here. I grew up in the same town that you're growing up in. And, for me, I had a dream growing up. Yes, I wanted to play professional football. I remember saying that in 4th grade, writing it in an autobiography for a class assignment. But that was a dream as a kid. I mean, coming out of high school, I don't think anybody would have ever thought that I would still be that guy that would be playing on
Sure.
Sundays one day. But, eventually I just really grew into myself, and I had that just passion, that fire, that fuel that just ignited me to want to prove people wrong and compete and challenge myself and all those things that really helped to open those doors, so to speak. And when those doors cracked open, you had to be ready to take advantage of the opportunity. And that's what it's all about. It's being opportunistic, being prepared mentally and physically, that when that door cracked, you were ready to blow it open. And that's what I was able to do.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
question about it. And so talking about this camp that's coming up, and I think just in a more general sense and on a wider level, how important are events like this for kids, especially this year, and in California where a lot of places didn't have high school football this year. There wasn't a lot of opportunities for something like this, and for kids in general to get back into kind of this kind of mindset and to get in this kind of groove and have this kind of tutelage. How important is that for kids as the youth numbers across the board kind of are beginning to drop a little bit in America?
Sure. It's so important. I mean, we've seen that this year has been a challenging year for many people, and especially our youth. Having sports, having community, having just normal daily lives, going to school and seeing their friends and being around people taken away from them. And yes, in so many ways, sports was a big part of that. That was just put on hold for an entire year, and California's lagging behind. They're one of the last ones to jump on board and open things up. And so I even know families that have moved to Kansas City, that have moved out your way,
Wow.
so that their boy can play high school football, so that their other boy can play Pop Warner, and that they didn't miss out on the season because so many kids missed out on those opportunities this past year. And so for me to be able to put these camps on, we just had a camp here locally in San Diego 3 weeks ago. We had 120 kids out there, and it was a blast.
Great.
I mean, what a great day for those kids, and not to feel like they're masked up and they're under surveillance, or they could be kids again. They could be with their buddies. They could rub elbows with people. And, that being said, there's a lot of mental health issues that have developed amongst the young kids, especially the depression, all those things. And sports helps in so many ways to get them refocused, to get them repositioned, to go back out there and literally tackle life, and I think putting these camps on, being able to create a normal-like situation for them is such a positive experience. I'm very grateful, very thankful to have a great team of people that want to jump on board and want to help me out. And, that's what it's all about. We have to do this as a team, and we have to be motivating. We have to be inspiring. We have to mentor these young ones to get back to living a healthy life, to get away from iPads, iPhones, technology, all those things that they have really, in a lot of ways, had to suffer through, because that became their outlet on a daily basis for those who could have those things. And it's really not a positive thing for them to be doing like they are a part of. And for me as a parent, I have 4 kids. I'm in the thick of it. They're 9, 10, 12, and 13. And of course, when they get home from school, they want to play PlayStation. They want to be on their iPhone. They want to do certain things like that. And for me, it's about keeping them active. Get outside. Hey, get outside and play. We're in a great community here. You have friends on the street. You can ride your bikes. Let's be active. And, that's how I live. That's my style of living. And so I want to continue to impress that upon my kids. And I'm fortunate that our kids are active. But there are a lot of kids out there. And I heard it yesterday on the news in San Diego sports, Little League. The numbers are down. Mm-hmm. Parents, because of what's gone on, they can't afford to sign their kids up for these programs. And, that's another obstacle now that kids are having because of the financial struggles that this pandemic has put people in. And how do we help them? And I know that the state of California, if I'm not mistaken, or it might be through the country, there's a lot of money that's going to be put back in to support programs at the youth levels to give those that are less fortunate an opportunity to play. And that's what I want to do too. Look, I'm not trying to make money off of my camp. I'm really trying to build an opportunity for kids to go out there and be around me and hear me speak and hear my journey and what I have to share. We also are launching a foundation. So we want everything that we do to go back and support the community, to support things that I feel strongly about. And that's what it's all about, is just bringing awareness, bringing notoriety to certain things. But at the end of the day, if somebody wants to come to my camp and they can't afford it, hey, we will find a way for them to be a part
Awesome.
of it.
That's
Because at
great.
the end of the day, it's not about the money. It's about the experience. And I want every kid in Gilroy, where I'm from, or the surrounding areas, to be a part of that experience. That's why we have 4 separate sessions, because I'm believing that
Yeah.
there's going to be a lot
Yeah.
of kids that want to go to these sessions. And so it was important to team them up, match them up age appropriately, so that we could really dedicate and spend that time with these individual kids and give them the time of their life.
Absolutely. It's great what you're doing, Jeff. And you mentioned a little bit earlier talking about after high school, people didn't think that you were headed to the NFL, but you start at San Jose State, you go to the CFL, finally to the 49ers to back up Steve Young. Just kind of take us through that journey that you had and getting to play with Jerry Rice ultimately when you get picked up by the 49ers.
Yeah, well, coming out of high school, I was not highly recruited. As a matter of fact, I played in the high school all-star game as a free safety, started at free safety in the high school all-star game. And then, I knew at that point, not being recruited coming out of high school, that I was going to go play a year for my dad at the junior college. And I went that route, played 1 year of junior college ball. And fortunately, after that 1 year, I had some schools that were interested, San Jose State being one of them, and was 30 miles away from where I grew up. So it was just a kind of a good place for me to go, to still have my family around, have them involved, being able to go to every game and watch my games. That being said, I went through 3 head coaches in 3 years at San Jose State. So anytime you go through that sort of inconsistency, it's going to create some problems. And eventually, by my senior year, the wheels started to fall off. Not so much for me, but as a team. It had impacted our recruiting. It had impacted how competitive we were on the field. That being said, I still did well enough throughout my career where I set records at San Jose State. And I also was invited to play in the East-West Shrine All-Star game. And in that game, I went out there and I lit it up. Hey, I threw for 3 touchdowns, ran for a 2-point conversion, won the game in the 4th quarter with a big comeback, was voted MVP of the game. And even after that, there's still no sniff from the NFL. So my only option, fortunately, I had an option, was to go to the Canadian Football League. And in that first year, I was competing to be the number 3 quarterback on the team, backing up Doug Flutie and another guy by the name of Steve Taylor, who came out of Nebraska, but had been in the CFL for 6 years. So they had 2 veterans, number 1 and number 2, and I was competing with another rookie to just be the 3rd string quarterback on the team. And it really came down to 1 quarter. We were each going to get 1 quarter in a preseason game, and I got the 4th quarter. And at that point, it was 14-14. I stepped on the field, and I took the team down for 2 consecutive drives and 2 TD passes, and we ended up winning the game 28-14. But after the game, the offensive coordinator and the American scout who brought the American players up to the CFL, the American scout still liked the other quarterback that I was competing against. The offensive coordinator now saw some things that I brought to the table in that game, and he was like, well, I like Jeff. And they battled it out, and fortunately, the coordinator won and kept me. Otherwise, who knows what I would have been doing 25 years ago, right? I mean, and that's what I talk about, opportunity, being opportunistic, being ready to take advantage of a situation that arises, and hey, we don't know how many opportunities are going to be put in front of us, but when one strikes, you better be ready. When one presents itself, you better be ready to strike. And that's what the situation was. I backed up the first year as a number 3, really didn't see the field. And then the next year, I was the backup to Doug Flutie. He gets hurt midway through the season. I step in, I go 8-1 as a starter. I light it up. And next thing you know, Doug Flutie's expendable, and they let Doug go to Toronto. I stayed in Calgary as the starter for the next 3 years. We win a Grey Cup after the 1998 season. And at that point, Doug had come into the NFL. He was with Buffalo. And, Bill Walsh had always taken a liking to me. He had liked me when he was coaching at Stanford, and we played against him from San Jose State. And he was getting back involved with the 49ers on a front office position. And it was really Bill who opened the door up for me to come to San Francisco. I did have some other opportunities. I worked out for the Rams. I worked out for Jacksonville. I worked out for Miami, and I worked out for the Raiders, and Miami offered me a contract as well, but that's Dan Marino was there, and I'm not really a Dan Marino type of quarterback, and nothing against Dan. He's one of the greatest to play the games, but he was a drop back guy, and I was more like a Steve Young, a mobile kind of active guy. And so San Francisco was just the better fit for me to run the West Coast style of offense. And knowing that Bill was the guy bringing me in, I felt like I had somebody in my corner to where at least I was going to get a fair shake to compete for a backup role behind Steve.
Well, of course, 3 Pro Bowls later, you throw for 25,000 yards in your career, Jeff, and you go on to be just a steadying hand in the NFL. But I have a question for you, because here's the deal. We're in Kansas City, and I'm just going to read off some names here. Okay, so Steve DeBerg, Joe Montana, Steve Bono, Elvis Gerback, Alex Smith. What do they have in common, you ask? They all wound up in Kansas City, all except for you, Jeff Garcia. How did you never become a Chief?
I don't know how that didn't happen, man, especially with Andy Reid there. I would have thought maybe at the end of my career. He wasn't quite there yet, I think, though, when I was finishing off my career. Otherwise, maybe there would have been a chance for me to be in Kansas City. I know we had a hell of a game there in 2007 or 8. I think it was 2008. I was playing for Tampa Bay, and I always had heard just such the great stories of the Kansas City fans and how exciting it was there in KC. We had played preseason games there before, but never a regular season game. And that was my first and only, I believe, regular season game that I played in Kansas City. But I was with the Buccaneers, and we had a comeback late in the fourth quarter that sent it into overtime.
Do you remember who the Chiefs quarterback was that day?
They were going through some struggles, and it was a guy that didn't hang long.
He didn't hang long, but he caught a touchdown that day, and it was Tyler Thigpen from Mark Bradley. Little trivia: if you're ever on Jeopardy, there you go. You got that in the bag.
And you know what? I liked how he played the game. Actually, I thought that
he did.
Was a talented young guy. He had some moxie to him, but hey, you're playing in a situation where it's a numbers game, and you're kind of a guy that's more of a free agent type of look at instead of a highly drafted guy. So you're maybe not given the opportunities like other guys do get. I don't know what the situation was at that time. I know there were some injuries that were going on in Kansas City and just some struggles, and we took advantage of it.
Dang it.
Well, you mentioned
it was a tough game, though. It was a tough game, man. We had to eke it out at the end.
We were both there, so whatever that means.
Sadly.
Yeah.
Jeff, you mentioned playing for Andy Reid. Talk to us a little bit about how he stands out from some of the other offensive minds in the game and how happy you were for him to get that ever elusive championship.
Oh, so happy, even though it was against the 49ers, and I do some TV work with the 49ers. And so I was at the game. We were doing a pre and post game show for NBC Sports Bay Area for the Niners. But that being said, if there was a team to lose to and a guy to be happy for, it was definitely Andy Reid. I mean, the guy has been through so much personally in his personal life as well, and has been such a great coach for so many years and so close so many times in Philadelphia. Even the year that I played for him in 2006, I mean, we're an illegal motion false start away from beating New Orleans in the second round of the playoffs and going to Chicago. And who knows what happens then. But that being said, he's just a great human being, first of all. I really just truly enjoyed being a part of the organization with him as the leader of that organization. At that time, I think you see him a lot more jovial and happy and showing some personality in the past few years than when he was in the heart of it in Philly. And I even noticed a different personality change when things turned around in Philly. And maybe it just is, hey, when you're winning, things feel good, right? But he was such an even keel guy. You didn't really know where he was. But to see him now enjoying himself a lot more, showing that smile, being happy on the sidelines when great things happen. But I'll say this, from the standpoint of running a West Coast style of offense, him and Marty Morningwig really were creative, especially in attacking down the field. And they created ways to get receivers open for big time hits down the field, which was awesome. I mean, to be able to be a part of that. And you now see it, I mean, with the weapons that they have and Mahomes there in KC, I mean, the sky's the limit in what they can do. They can do so many different things and be so creative with their offense. It's taken a whole another look and level of what they used to do in Philly and even their early years in Kansas City as to what they're doing now. But it's exciting to watch.
Jeff, I got to bring this up because I couldn't find the episode on YouTube, but you were, you know what I'm going to say, right? You were on an episode of Punk'd back in 2002.
Oh, it wasn't MTV Cribs.
It was Punk'd. Remember? Yeah, Cribs. That's coming up. You still need one of those. So what? I think Jerome Bettis was on it, but I remember Dax Shepard before. Of course, anyone really knows who Dax Shepard is. He gets you on this Punk'd episode. Like, what did you know? Kind of what was going on? What was kind of your memories of that? Did you just think you were involved in a terrible interview? Like, what happened there?
You know, I felt like I got wind of it during the interview where this was some sort of joke. You know, I didn't know Dax Shepard. I didn't know who he was. I think I knew of the show MTV Punk'd, but we were at an NFL alumni golf event in Southern California, in the LA area. And, you know, next thing you know, I'm getting interviewed on this hole by this goofy looking guy. I think he had a wig on, if I'm not mistaken. And he starts to question my height and size and kind of mock me a little bit. And I actually was playing back with them, but they, you know how they take camera and edit and spin it, and it like tried to make me look like I was serious, because I think at one time I told him I'd put him in a headlock and whatever. But no, I had fun with it, and I didn't know what was going on, to be honest with you, but I did feel like, hey, this was some sort of joke, and I just roll with it.
Well, we can't find the video anywhere, so you must have had it wiped off the face of the earth.
No, I didn't do anything with it, so it's probably out there somewhere. It just was so long ago that it just got eaten up by the rest of technology.
Well, Jeff, we'd be remiss here in Kansas City if we didn't ask you about Patrick Mahomes. You mentioned him a little bit, but have you ever quite seen anything like him at the position with his different arm angles, platforms, the no-look throws, and just so much success so early on in his career?
No, he's special. He truly is special, as you guys have seen and witnessed, and what he has been able to do in such a short period of time. I mean, I think more than anything, what you have to appreciate is just his approach to the game. It's not just his athletic ability and what he's able to do out there on the field, because he wouldn't be doing those things as well if he didn't put the time and effort into it. But he's a student of the game. He wants to be the best. He challenges himself to be better every single time he steps out on the field. What he can do is truly exciting from a fan's viewpoint, to watch him and how he lengthens plays, how he creates, how he gets throws out from any and every angle. You know, I used to take pride in myself that I could make throws from different feet going one way, but yet arm going the other way, but never at the level that a Patrick Mahomes has done it. And how he does it with such accuracy, such pinpoint accuracy. He's electric, man. I mean, there's not really anybody that truly compares to him in everything that he brings to the table. I think there are some guys that bring some elements. I think Kyler Murray is another guy that has some elements. You know, obviously Russell Wilson is a guy that has had great success and has some similarities, but Patrick just brings so much to the table in what he can do physically and mentally. And I think in so many ways, his baseball background helps him in delivering all the different throws that he delivers from all different arm angles. And, you know, the guy's a master out there, and it's a lot of fun to watch. I mean, you can never count KC out of a game when he's out on the field, and the weapons that he has around him. I mean, they're so explosive, and they can light a fire under a scoring touchdown ratio in a heartbeat. So, you know, it's one of those things where I didn't realize he would be this guy. I remember watching him work out in Carlsbad before he entered into the draft, when he was doing his off-season training and preparing for the combine, for the draft. And I actually had a sit down meet with him because his agent reached out to me and asked me to come meet up with him and just talk X's and O's with him. And, we had a good hour and a half to just sit down and talk football. And I was pleasantly surprised by just how mature he was, how he approached it, how he understood the game. And to see him have the success that he's having, it's because he works at it. It's because he's put the time into it. Yes, he has some special gifts, some special abilities, but he's the total package. And that's why he's successful. And his teammates love him. I mean, that's what it comes down to. He's a great leader. His teammates will do anything for him because he'll do anything for his teammates. And when you have a guy like that, you got to do your best to keep that guy in the building. And KC did just that. And the guy's a very wealthy man, but deservingly so.
Jeff, before we let you go, man, Noah and I were just watching highlights earlier today, January 5th, 2003. Not a lot of context needs to be put into this because it's one of the craziest playoff games of all time. You're down 38-14. You come back late in the third quarter. You come back to win the game in one of the craziest playoff games ever. A lot of people remember this game, but from your standpoint, just kind of give us your memories of it and how frenetic and crazy it was. And when, I go back and look at highlights and T.O. says, well, Jeff, didn't get me the ball or whatever. He's in every highlight on this, in this video.
You got him the ball that day.
He caught he had 3 touchdowns in this game. Just take us back to that day, man.
Yeah. I can never get him the ball enough.
Right.
But,
Nobody can.
We always try. Well, that game, man, if there was ever a game that I could truly bottle up the emotion of the fans after a game, I mean, that's one that I would love to have with me for the rest of my life. I mean, that game, it was a roller coaster of emotions, especially as a fan watching the game. But as a player, you have to maintain your even keel, so to speak. We knew, hey, we were in a difficult position. There were a couple things that happened in that game that gave us a chance to come back, though. One of them was Jeremy Shockey drops a touchdown pass, for sure touchdown pass, hits him in the hands, drops it in the back of the end zone. That would have put them up 27 instead of 24.
Right.
Or 28. It would have put them up 28 instead of 24. Instead of the touchdown,
they kicked a field goal.
Field goal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they're up 24. Now, it's still a lot of points to come back from, but 28 is at least 4 touchdowns. 24 is 3 touchdowns and 3 2-point conversions. So we felt like there's a chance, right? The other thing that happened was the New York Giants put on the brakes. They stopped attacking our defense. They went into basically like a four-corner offense in basketball, right? Where you try to slow the game down, and next thing you know, we're getting our defensive stops, we're getting possessions, but we had to put some drives together. And it started with a drive midway through the third quarter where we just started to go into a 2-minute no-huddle offense. And that's where we found our rhythm. Again, it wasn't like we were not putting points on the board in the game prior to that, but we weren't stopping them. And they were doing whatever they wanted, and we needed to turn the whole momentum around. And it started with that first drive, that drive in the third quarter when we finally got on the board with another score and we got a 2-point conversion, cut it to 16 with an entire quarter to play. And I felt like now we're within reach. We have 15 minutes left in the game. We're 16 points down. We just need 2 possessions and we could be back in this. And, fortunately at that time, like I said, defense started coming up with some stops. We were putting some drives together. We had some great calls from the sideline. Coach Mariucci, I think it was a 3rd and 1 or a 2nd and 1 when we called the little quarterback, keep around the edge when I scored. And then late in the game, we also had some things go our way. They missed 2 field goals in the fourth quarter due to bad snaps.
Trey Junkin.
Right. And so, that obviously left the door open for us. And we were fortunate in that sort of way. But we also had a field goal, and we had the 2 touchdowns, with one getting a 2-point conversion and the other one not getting, failing on a 2-point. But just enough to get the lead. And then, then we had to hold on and rely on a call by the refs at the end. And we don't need to talk about that anymore.
Hey, no, Chris Collinsworth wanted pass interference. You can't pass interfere on a player that's illegally downfield. We know how the story goes, and it's all good. Jeff, you're the best, man. An underrated career, in my opinion, just kind of growing up and, watching football the way that we did. And you were just such a part of our lives growing up, and we can't thank you enough. And we thank you enough for what you're doing with the youth today. And for information, I want everybody to follow you on Twitter. This is a way to get a hold of you at Jeff Garcia, JGFA on Twitter, and at Jeff Garcia QB5 on Instagram. Yes?
That's right.
Got it.
Jeff Garcia QB5. And then for the camp, hey, they can go to jeffgarciafootball.com and they'll be able to register for the camp up in Northern California in a few weeks. So excited about that. And hey guys, thanks for having me on, man. And hey, because Andy Reid is there in Kansas City, I'm a fan of the Chiefs, and I love that guy. And I'm happy for all the success that KC has had over the last couple years.
Let's get you out to Arrowhead, get some barbecue. Come on over.
Oh, absolutely. I need to go experience that. Bring my boys out to a game one of these days.
Do it anytime, Jeff. Thank you so much, my friend. Best of luck with the camp and with Pop Warner this year. We'll be in touch, my friend, and we'll talk to you later, man. Thank you.
Great. Sounds good. Take care.
You bet. Thanks.
Always an honor. Thank you.